welcome back to Art Time with Mrs. Jones. Today we're going to be working with perspective in a landscape art. Perspective is taking a solid form and creating a two-dimensional picture with it. So we want to keep the size relative to its surroundings to make it look like things are either closer to you or farther away. We're going to create that by making a focal point with a straight edge and drawing everything that is closest to the focal point very small and everything farther away from that focal point quite a bit bigger. Let me show you some examples to help explain that a little bit better. So in the yard you can see that the trees closer to us appear to be bigger than the trees that are farther away. They're all about the same size, but because they are closer to you, they appear to be larger. So this illustration has a focal point right in the middle of the page. I started with a very lightly drawn X to split it up into 4 quadrants. The bottom is the road, the top is the sky, and then the sides are the landscape itself. So everything closest to the focal point is very small, and everything closer to the sides of the page or farthest away from the focal point is much larger. This is a very similar picture, but instead of doing the trees on both sides, I did the trees on one side and buildings on the right. So this is the one we're going to be working on today. Our focal point is going to be on the far left-hand side of the page. We'll have a horizon line going horizontally across the page, and then we'll have one line angling up for mountains and another angling down for the path. So we'll go ahead and start with those 3 lines and move on from there. All right guys, so for this project you are going to need a straight edge. I'm going to be using a ruler, but you can use another sheet of paper or a book if you don't have a ruler. You'll need a pencil, mechanical is fine, regular is fine, up to you. And you'll need something to color it with if you want it to be a colored finished product. I'll be using crayons, but you can use markers or color pencils or just leave it as a pencil sketch, up to you. Now we're going to start with our horizon line, which is the line that runs horizontal. We're not going to draw it straight because we want a rocky landscape. So I'm going to go ahead and draw a line that is bumpy to show that there is a rocky line there. Now I'm going to keep my pencil on this focal point here, and I'm going to turn the straight edge upward. From here, I'm going to create a mountainous line running up this slant. So diagonally going up with a mountain line. Then coming down, I'll keep my pencil on that focal point, angle down, and we're going to stay above the corner of this piece. And we'll draw a line coming down for a little bit of a windy path. If you want yours to be a straight path, just run it straight down. If you want it to be a road, run it straight. It's up to you. Keeping my pencil on that focal point, I'm going to come down to the bottom of this corner, and I'm going to mirror this line. So it's going to match and just get bigger as it comes down. Now we're going to start working on our cactus. So we need to stay on the right-hand side, going large to small, staying between these lines. So we don't want to come below the path. We don't want to go taller than the mountain. We're going to stay in this range here. So my first cactus is going to be on this far right-hand side, and it is going to be almost as tall as the mountain and almost down to this line. So I'm going to start at the top and come down on both sides, and this is about the width of my finger. And one side will go up, and then we'll come down, and we'll go up, and then we'll come down, and we'll go up, giving it its little arms. Now we want to draw light until we get it right, because you're going to be erasing quite a bit of this. So in a little bit, we'll go in and erase all of these lines here so that you don't have horizon lines through the middle of your cactus. Now the cactus is going to have a little bit of a rounded base on it to show that it is a form and it's not flat. The next cactus is going to come a little bit behind that one. So we'll go up a little bit, down a little bit, and we'll draw it right here. And since it's behind this one, it's okay if they overlap and it runs behind here. So we're going to come down here, run this one. It's going to go behind that piece, down here, round the base. We'll have this one come up here with a little arm, come down a ways, have a little arm going behind this guy, come down a ways, and then come on this side. So notice I'm not putting the cactus arms side by side so they're not symmetrical. I'm coming down and staggering them to the left, down to the right, down to the left. This way, they're not all exactly the same. And I'm going to come over here. We're going to draw another one. Let's separate these a little bit. So I'll come underneath the mountain here. And this one's going to be a little bit skinnier. Because it's farther away, it's going to be a little bit smaller. So I'm making it a little bit skinnier. These are fatter because they're closer than this one, which is a little farther away. It's a little skinnier. We'll come up with a little arm here, up with a little arm here, and out with a little arm here. We'll draw one next to it. So we're going to come behind this little arm here. So coming down, a little bit shorter, a little bit skinnier, coming down, rounding the bottom, come out here with a little arm, behind here with the little arm, and then out here with a little arm. So as we get closer to this focal point, things are getting smaller. You see the difference between this really tall guy and this one here? Just like the path is getting smaller, these will also get smaller because we have to stay in this area here. So let's do another little cluster here. We'll go ahead and do 3 of them here. So we'll do one. This one's going to be very skinny because it's getting very much farther away. We'll come up with a little arm, another little arm. So we're staggering right, left, right. I'm going to do one on this side that is behind it. And since it's behind it, its little footprint is further back. I'm only going to give this one 2 arms. And then I'll do one on the right side, or on the left side. So we have a little cluster here, a couple of them here, and a couple here. Now these are going to be quite a bit smaller because these are quite a bit farther away. So they're not going to be as detailed. Something farther away, you don't see all of the tiny details on them quite as much. So these will be a little bit less detailed. So we'll come over here We'll draw a few together right in here. And we'll keep going farther back and smaller as they get farther away from us. And back here, they are just little blobs. So we're creating that illusion, we're creating that perspective that these forms in relation to each other are getting smaller the farther away they are. But in reality, they're just as big as these, they're just farther away. So from here, we're gonna go ahead and start with the foreground, which is this spot right here. This is the spot that is absolutely closest to us. So we're gonna start here and do a rock that you're only seeing part of. It's so close to you, you're only seeing part of it. We'll draw some blades of like a yucca plant here, so some leaves coming off the edge of the paper. Again, we want to give the illusion that the picture continues off the edge of the page. You can draw another rock right here, maybe a couple of rocks right here. We can draw a little plant there with it also. Now notice these rocks are a little farther away, so they're smaller than this one, and this plant is farther away, so it's smaller than this one. We can draw another little rock cluster up here. Maybe another little rock over here. Yucca leaves. So as they get closer to this focal point, they get so much smaller. Now, since we did rocks here, let's go ahead and throw some rocks over here. This rock will be behind this cactus here, so you can't see the part. If there was more of the rock, it would be right here, but you can't see it because it's behind this cactus. You can draw a little rock right here, maybe a yucca coming out right here. Do some more. So you just put yours wherever you want. It's kind of your prerogative on where you want your plants to be. If you want it in front of the cactus, put it in front of the cactus. If you want it behind, put it behind. If you want to have a little tumbleweed, draw a little tumbleweed. This is your creation, guys. There is no making mistakes. There are only happy accidents. We love our Bob Ross. So just do what you want. Put happy little rocks here and happy little plants there. It's your thing, friends. Once you have your land created, you can work on the sky. So you can put your sun wherever you want. I'm gonna put my sun right in here. Put some little clouds. Same thing with the clouds. The farther away they are, the smaller they are, the closer to the foreground they are, the larger. And then from there, you will take your eraser and erase all of these lines that are not supposed to be there. So the horizon line going through the cactus, you'll erase those. If you don't want these lines on the sides of where the little arms come off, you can erase those. You don't have to, you can totally keep those on there, it's not a big deal. But the horizon line definitely needs to come out. So you'll just take your eraser and erase that horizon line. Over here it doesn't matter as much because the details won't be as obvious. All right, I'm gonna flip over to the finished picture so that we can talk about that just a little bit more with the color choices. Since this is a desert scene, I started with a yellow base on all of my sand and then layered a little bit of brown and orange on top of that. The mountains and the rocks, I did a brown base and layered a little bit of red and orange on top of those. And then the cactus, I started with a light green and shaded with a darker green. So the side closer to the sun is still that bright green, and the side away from the sun, that would be in the shadows, is a little bit darker. And then the yucca, I went with a darker green as well. The sky, I just did a sunrise or sunset color scheme going from light to dark based on where the sun is. So your sky might be different depending on how high or low your sun is, or if you do a night theme. All right, guys, that's it for today. I can't wait to see your work. Remember, we don't make mistakes, we have happy accidents. Until next time, guys, keep creating. Love you, bye.